Welcome to Thicc Fam to episode 2. And if you're watching on YouTube, you're like, "Where's Meat Sticks? Where's Meat Sticks at?" Well, he's got a double eye infection. Don't ask me what he's been doing. I tried, wouldn't tell me, but I got better people on. Yes, I do. Jeremy, you're hearing this as it comes out. I have your better half, Miss Reckless Courtney. And I have the great CageLawyer in the building on the ones and twos. Today's going to be a great show. I'm excited. Look at Cage with his reckless hat. It's going to be a good one. How are you guys doing?
I didn't think Cage could get more attractive, but with that hat on, damn.
The hat, it's the reckless hat. And I got a little son today, it looks like, from what I'm looking at. You're throwing a ball around with my son. They're all from school. So, fun stuff. That is a nice intro.
You like
professionally done. Like you kind of like wait and you do the whole there's like the whole Too Thick. And it's episode 2. I assume every episode is episode 2 because of Too Thick. If not, you please feel free to steal that and make every episode 2 because that's kind of funny.
Yeah. So we have like a meaning to every episode and we'll give it a random number. So today is 2 because Jeremy has 2 eye infections in his eyes. So it's episode 2 for Jeremy's eyes.
I mean, no one's ever going to accuse Jeremy of half-assing anything. If you're going to get an eye infection, you might as well get it in both eyes.
You know he looks so terrible. I have him quarantined away from everyone. I'm like, you're not allowed to come out of this room. Today we had all run out to go do stuff, and I came into the house, and he was standing in the kitchen, and he was like, he gave me one of these because he knew he was busted. I'm like, what are you doing out of the bedroom?
So they're probably not going to show you guys the picture, but I did get to see the picture in the green room before recording. And there is a scene in Shallow Hal where he's dating Gwyneth Paltrow. And I guess he's not supposed to see her, what she really looks like. So he pretends he has pink eye and he rubs Vaseline kind of all over his eyes. He's like, ah. That's kind of what the picture looks like. It's kind of gross, but I hope you feel better, man. I'll come back on as well. We can all kind of, all 4 of us can kind of chat. It'll be a lot of fun. But thank you for having me, guys. I mean, it's been a couple days since I did a podcast, so I appreciate you. I get my hobby talk fixed. So thank you.
There you go.
We're excited to have you. We miss seeing your face every day.
Appreciate that.
I know. I got excited today because I saw your weekly recap. And I want to talk about that because I know since I was working under you, you've always been that person that's trying to look for the next best thing. What can I do? What can I do? Well, this weekly recap, I think, is the thing, Cage. I think it is.
You gotta get it up on TikTok, not just Instagram. You gotta put it on TikTok because that's where you're gonna.
I mean,
that's perfect for TikTok.
I have a 9-year-old son, so he can teach me how to use TikTok because I don't know how to do it either. Remember, I don't even have a Facebook page, so TikTok I clearly don't have. Yeah, I'm too young for Facebook, so that's why I don't have it. But it's like grandparents sharing pictures now, right? So yeah, no, I mean,
in all caps.
That kind of content would be good on TikTok, I think. So we'll get that on there. The hobby is just the gift that keeps on giving. That's why a news episode once a week for a minute is, lifesavers, cough drops in a panini box. It's just, I'm going to have to admonish C-Blez. I want to keep a streak going and just have C-Blez topless in every one of my news things, but he was kind of quiet this week. I didn't see him doing hot yoga. He was not challenging Ken Golden to anything. So he did not make it. He liked it, which is great because he probably was looking for himself in it this week. Yeah. But he wasn't in it. It's funny, man. The origin of it, if you go back, so this is my 3rd one. So I released them on Tuesdays. You go back 2.5 weeks, I was finishing up an episode and the idea hit me while I was talking to Andrew. And I actually say at the end of the episode, I'm like, oh, I got this great idea. If anybody wants to, kind of work with us. And I was about to say what the idea was. And I'm like, you know what? This might be so good. I might have to do this myself. I'm like, DM me, we'll talk. I was about to throw it out. You go listen. I don't know, it was episode 940-ish, somewhere in that kind of range. And it just, it's just a Saturday Night Live kind of thing, right? Like the Weekend Update kind of, the hobby, the Tim thing.
Oh my God,
people
that
are
was
loving that.
so good.
People are loving
Tim
the Tim
trying
stuff.
to pull himself like that's something different. I adore Tim. We are like buddies. We hung out in Atlanta, and I had like the best. That's when I met Doc Collectibles.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Nikki are just, first of all, they are a good time. And second of all, they're hilarious. And when I watched that, I'm like, Tim is going to love this.
I may or may not have been with Tim late night Friday in Vegas, leaving the DJ booth VIP of, what was it, Zook was the name of the place? I don't know, the Resorts World. We may or may not have almost got into a fight with some young kids on the way out of the hotel.
Tim can't help himself.
Maybe, I don't know. But I would bet on Tim.
Is it a hobby? Is it a hobby event if Tim is not beefing with some 20-year-old?
It was.
Cage has himself. This is the year before, he was trying to fight some police officers and trying to get me arrested on the Strip. You remember that?
Yes, they were not real. They were peace officers, actually.
Yeah. They're all
their
peace
badges
now,
were
Cage.
fake.
They're all peace officers.
And their pants were missing a lot of material, man. In the rear areas, the ones who were trying to arrest you. Like,
Cage was trying to set me up. I was running down the Strip because Cage was like, "You want?"
If you remember, these police officers, I don't think their uniforms were standard issue.
Listen, I have stories about Jeremy being afraid of like non-standard police officers in Vegas too.
So, but I mean, I will say this: the reason why I think a segment like that works is because I kind of know that for the most part, the people in the hobby are good sports. Like I can say Jeff Wilson's stranded in the forest. I can kind of give the guys from Beckett a little bit of a hard time about what they're doing. I can poke a little fun at Tim. Hopefully they know they can poke some fun at me, and it's all in good fun. It is a hobby. I know we call it the industry sometimes. It's big business. There's a lot of money being spent on the cards and, in the businesses. But ultimately, we kind of come here to kind of have some fun. And if we can't laugh at ourselves and we can't be a little self-deprecating, we can't, have some fun with it, well, what the hell use is it? So that's why I think it works. And I mean, I will try not to pick on thin-skinned people. Because, that's not what it's about. I don't want to do that. So if you make it there, and I'm kind of poking fun at you a little bit. No, I view you as a friend. I do it out of love. So Manny, next week, do something newsworthy.
I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something newsworthy because I've been trying to tell my friends in Down Under, the double coverage boys, to give me a lemon for 2 straight years, and they won't give me one, but they give you one every year, and then they love it. They're like, they'll call me and they're like, we're about to give Cage a lemon. You need to watch.
Well, I do enough to deserve one. You know what I mean? The hobby news.
I aspire to be on one of your episodes, so now I have to figure out some dumbass thing I can do.
I mean, this is the way it works, right? It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like do a news show so that people can do something stupid enough to make it on the news show.
It's like the Kardashian effect. Like you have to do something that you don't need a brain to do in order to become famous.
I mean, I'm with you on it.
I almost made it on your cigar night. C. Blaise grabbed my hand as I was walking by to come dance with me. And I was like, I thought about it for a second. I was like, Cage is watching here. Maybe I can make the news dancing with C. Blaise.
Listen, I may or may not have videos of several members of the Hobby Elite singing to each other loudly.
Things got wild at Cigar Night, but here's the thing. Cigar Night videos will not make it into the hobby news. We need an event like that where the hobby celebrities, let's call them, like you guys, sitting high posting at the Reckless table with your crew, doing a little drinking, smoking some cigars. You have to be able to let your hair down a little bit, an evening like that. You're out in Vegas working hard. I mean, the hobby's hard work. It's hard work. So you got to be able to let your hair down and not worry about, making it onto the hobby news from an event like that.
That's what I said. I'm like, nobody better post any videos of you look stupid because I'm coming for you.
All right. Now
it was my birthday.
That's it. Happy 23rd.
Thank you.
It was a good time one and all. I found the way to light the cigars, even without, the torches. So everything was good.
It's like sitting at my table, just like trying to get
I found torches. We made it work. It was all good. It was a good time. I mean, I give out a lot of cigars. Listen to me. I'm still messed up from Vegas. Forget about it.
Manny hasn't sounded. He smoked like 4 cigars. I'm like, what are you thinking? I'm like, one kills you.
Yeah, I was 4 cigars, and I think I asked Cage to relight my cigars like probably 20 times. I kept going up and be like,
not only did he ask me to light his cigar for him, but I give him a pass on this because look, some people smoke cigars, some people don't. But he was asking me to light the wrong end of the cigar. He's like, "Here, light this for me." I'm like, "That's not the end that you want to light."
And I had my mouth on the other end, like, Cage, get me.
Yeah, I was gonna make a lot of jokes about the wrong end with him, but his wife was like 3 feet away from me, and I'm like, she's gonna kick my ass. I can't make these jokes. It's good stuff. And then Jeremy wound up with pink eye, so I don't know what was going on with Manny that night.
I'm telling you, Vegas was wild. It was wild. I had the best time.
It was definitely fun. It's the Mint was a good event for folks. I appreciate that you guys like the news stuff. Mint, what'd you guys think overall? Good stuff?
I personally felt like Mint was such a great event for us. Jeremy and I talked about it. Initially, we weren't sure if we were going to get the pay to do the whole panels and everything. And I am so glad that we went to all the panels because it was without a doubt one of the best hobby experiences that I've had in a long time, as far as an industry side of it. I traveled this year to Burbank. I went to Culture Collision. I went to Dallas. Obviously we go to the National every year. All of our local shows. And then we missed the Mint last year because we put on the scavenger hunt at Shipshewana, which is the biggest show in our area that we do. And when Mint rescheduled because of COVID, it was the same weekend as Shipshewana. And Brad Beeman, the guy who runs it, was like, hey, I totally understand if, a lot of people aren't coming because Mint. And I'm like, we do the kids thing. We run the whole kids event. We sponsor it. I'm like, us not coming would mean that those kids were going to miss out on something that we have always done. So we skipped the Mint last year and we went this year. And I'm like, no, we have to do the whole experience. We have to experience the whole thing. We missed it last year, and I could not be happier that we did. I literally going to the Bullpen LA and friends and all theirs was worth it. And then Sarah Layton's panel with Cherry Collectibles, so good. Ezra had his panel with all of the financial and fractional stuff, so interesting. Way over my head. I tried to pay attention. I'm thinking, I had a question, and then somebody else would ask the question that I was thinking. I'm like, okay, so I do understand what they're talking about.
Or at least there was one other dummy in the room.
Yeah.
Touche.
It was Jeremy asking the questions.
No, Jeremy doesn't ask questions ever. Yeah, he stands there and he looks angry.
Yeah. How'd you like it, Cage? You got to do your own live podcast there.
I enjoyed it. It was different than last year. I mean, man, you were there last year. It was definitely a little bit different. Not as top-heavy celebrity-wise. I mean, last year, Peyton Manning walking around. Jerry Rice was there, right? Emmitt Smith was there. Paul Pierce was there. And while I'm a Raider fan, Max Crosby does not check off that A-list bucket the same way that those guys do. White Chocolate playing Papa Shot, that's a cool thing also, but it's not Jerry Rice, Not that I got to meet Jerry Rice, but I did get to introduce Paul Pierce last year, which was kind of cool. And I mean, he was an interesting character. I did not give him the mic. I was not supposed to give him a mic. I did not. Someone else handed him a microphone, and they really shouldn't have because it was him on a mic. It was bad. So, but I mean, so a little different than that in that regard. The show was bigger. What I would say is I spent a lot of time walking around table to table and asking people how they were doing, and everybody seemed to really be doing well.
Yeah, the
except
show.
Beckett. But no,
Beckett had a rough weekend.
but I mean, people who. What I've learned is that the people who are doing shows now are smart enough to know what they should be doing at shows. Even Luis, right? Who you guys get to hang out with a little bit, a Luca Tiger guy, somebody I've known for over a decade now from MMA cards. He's from out in California. I asked him, what's your best seller? And he was selling stacks of that Bernie Sanders card. Mm-hmm. He's in it for a couple bucks and he's selling it for $20, $25. And he's like, I put it on a table, somebody walks by and buys it. I put another one. He's like, I bought a stack, they're gone. Joe Rogan cards. He told me a story about how something happened to him for the first time. He's only seen it on YouTube. Somebody came up and said, "Hey, if I make a stack of cards, can I buy, like, would you work with me on a stack?" And he's like, "Sure." And the guy's like, "Okay, dude, it's this, that's 300, that's 200, this is 500. And he's like, before you know it, I got a $3,000 deal being done. It pays for my whole weekend, and everything's great from there on. He's like, I've only seen that happen on YouTube, which is cool, I spoke to Miles, LAFC Gooner, and he was telling me, some of his high-end soccer cards, people were offering like full comp or more on some of his cards. Which is, that's good to hear. It's, people are, making legitimate offers, and everyone I spoke to had a good show. Everybody said it was a good show from the show perspective. One of the big changes, not having, the two sides kind of vulture each other, not having the panels at the same time as the show. I think that worked out well for people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
The biggest issue, I think, the first year, and we kind of run into it, Cage, because me and you want to do the panels, but we were doing the marketplace and we were trying to buy, Chunks cards. We were looking for your cards for like ever. But yeah, I think people like that. It was a day ahead. It would have been nice to have like more of like the celebrity. I was pumped when Emmitt Smith came, and we're at like I don't know if it was like a club or we're not considered a club, but he's like just out there, just hanging out. Hakkasan, yes.
Yes.
And then you got Paul Pierce right here, Emmitt Smith right here. So it was cool on that aspect. Shout out to Miles, because I was trying to sell some soccer cards. I'm into soccer, and he looked at mine and was like, "Yeah, get out of here." Pretty much. So shout out to Miles.
Listen, I feel like you guys are being haters because Preston and Wee Man from Jackass.
Yeah, Wee Man was there. I did see
I took pictures with them, and they were awesome. And I feel like Preston is so underrated. He was one of my favorites on the show. He's very funny. He's very dry sense of humor.
Yeah.
More than like the slapstick stuff that the other guys were always doing. And they were there. And I actually saw Brad Garrett walking around.
Well, did you see Bryce? What was his name? This famous TikToker was walking around the show last year. Bryce Hall or something like that. I don't know who it is, but everyone was talking about him when he was walking in. Renee was there too, Cage. You can't give out the shout out
Renee.
Storage Wars. So
yes, he bought stuff from Sarah.
Yep.
I was walking around with my mantle on a Show Your Slabs chain, and Renee saw me. I gave him a hug. I think his dad just passed away, so he got some condolences from me. And he took the chain, and he was like showing off. He did like a little TikTok with the mantle on it. So I'm sure you can see that on his channel. But yeah, I mean, listen, it brings all walks of the hobby together, a show like that. I enjoyed it. And you're right about the industry side. I mean, there were companies there that I'd never even heard of before. Like that Courtyard company, they had a huge setup. I never even heard of them before the show. And they must have spent a ton of money, with their setup. I listened to their pitch. That was fun. I got to see everybody. It's cool to get together, right? The National's hectic. People are doing their stuff. There's a lot of events. There's a lot of craziness, and it's a big space. This is a smaller space. So, I got to spend an hour with Ryan, card collector. I saw, Pull Wax Mikey, and, got to chat with them. You get to see people and actually maybe, spend some time and talk with them for 20 minutes or half an hour, go get a drink. And, you could tell there are business meetings going on too, podcasts meeting sponsors, businesses talking to businesses, you could see the deals going on and that kind of stuff as well. So it was cool to see the merging of, kind of card show and industry, the same kind of thing. So
it was big for us. We bought a bunch of stuff at the marketplace, and we had, Reckless and Thicc had meetings, and, we made contacts. And I think sometimes, like, for us, it's majority a hobby, right? We've been doing this since we were kids. I've been collecting since I was 10. But it's awesome to have an event where you can go and it makes it feel more professional. We're all doing this. A lot of people make a lot of money, and, sometimes you have to elevate things above like dingy VFW card shows. And that's just, it's a part of it.
There's a place for those.
There is. I love them. Are you kidding? That's one of my favorite.
I went to one
too.
recently. They had Hanoi Jane urinal cakes.
That's disgusting, and I never ever want to know about that. So, and I don't have to.
I took Ian. He's like, "Who's this woman?" And I had to explain it to him.
Yeah,
really gross. Guys are gross. Guys are disgusting.
This is what you get. It's a card show.
So I definitely Shout out to just like being a female in the space, because there's always clean bathrooms and no lines at card shows.
There you go.
Even though our demographic is definitely growing and we are there, every panel that I went to see had a woman on it at Mint, which I can't speak highly enough of that. Still, we are a small demographic, so there are always clean bathrooms, and I am not complaining about that.
Shout out to all the women except Christina PC, because she hurt my feelings. And I'm
she got you so.
I was sweating, Cage.
That was the best prank I have ever seen anyone pull on another person in my life.
So Mrs. Squirts and like Courtney and Reckless family, and then our family are really close.
Really close. We're really close.
Yeah, so I have to explain this first because we're really tight. And I'm helping Sarah's husband E, and he goes, all right, I got a long line at my table. Can you take my daughter to the bathroom? Just stand outside, just so no one takes her. So I'm standing outside. I grab her, and we're coming back in. And Christina knows Sarah and knows me, and goes, Manny, whose daughter do you have? Like in front of all the security, and pulls her away from me and embarrasses me. And I'm like running in behind Christina, like, haha, you're just a joke. But I never felt so embarrassed in my life. And she will always, every time she saw me, she was making fun of me the whole rest of the show. So
it was so.
Shout out to everyone but Christina PC. So.
Yeah.
You were embarrassed.
Oh yeah,
I fell down. I wasn't even drinking, and I fell walking in the hotel. There was like in the bathroom. I literally I slid. Because I'm wearing dress shoes, and I wear I dress the part, I have the blazer on, and I have like work shoes, like slides. And I guess I didn't see kind of like a wet area by where the food court is. And I'm walking back, and my foot just slid, and I could hear the woman behind me go, "There goes his knee." And I hop up like I don't care how hurt I was. I am not staying down on the ground. There's got to be some very funny video of this somewhere. I actually know the risk manager of the MGM. I was going to call her and be like, erase that tape. But I fell. It was bad. But I'm like, hop up. I'm like, hey, like Willy Wonka. Just bounce right back up.
Let's
be fine. She's like, I thought your knee was gone. And I'm like, nah. Everything's great. I'm like, we have to go back and ice
Meanwhile, he has no cartilage and he has no surgery.
He said this water. He saw the Chick-fil-A next door.
Yeah. That's what it was. I did get In-N-Out burger for the first time twice.
I fell in our hotel room too. Maybe this is just a sign that we're all gonna go.
I almost fell when I first got in because it was raining. I almost fell I was at the hotel for 4 seconds. I almost fell right before I got out of the Uber, and I'm like, boom! Oh my god! I almost fell. I probably need new shoes now that I think about it. I'm old. Yeah. Well, what? Cage goes out to Mint and breaks his hip. Great. There's a title for an episode.
I didn't go out. Sarah Layton messaged me. She's like, "Hey, we're going out partying on Sunday night." I didn't have to go home until Tuesday, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk because I hurt my hip so bad falling down in my bathroom.
See, this is what happens. I was at in one of the clubs in a little VIP area. We were kind of stuck. Like I wanted to leave so bad. I wasn't drinking, and I was with Mike Gio, and we look behind us, and like the exit is behind us, but we're up elevated, and we're like, all right, well, what if we just kind of like do like a roll off, like we're Navy SEALs, like rolling off of the boat, like he's like, Cage, I don't think you could survive this. It was like 3 feet. You break your neck. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. We have to go the long way around.
Gio's close to the ground, so he's able to get that.
Maybe, the gravity doesn't have the same impact. No. But listen, and before we get off Mint, and you're talking about credits for women, Wicked collects Lauren.
Oh my God.
Obviously her stamp on the show, it wouldn't have been the show that it was. It wouldn't have been the event that it was if not for her. So every chance I get to say thank you to her. She set up our entire live podcast. She was the one who made it possible for us to be out there. And, we did our recording. We had, we had Josh Luber on and, a couple other guests also. And it was, really great show. Set up a camera, like microphone, I'm an iPhone 8, and that's how I do a podcast. It was nice to be treated like a professional. So thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that.
I love it.
She was a tiny ball of fire that whole weekend. Legitimately, I adore her. I have nothing but amazing, incredible things to say about her and her work ethic and all that she did for this show. And Blake is listening. she deserves like a 100% raise for what she did.
There you go. That's the deal. That Manny needs 100% raise too from his 2 Thicc salary.
100% of nothing is still nothing.
No, all of our Fanatics money goes for Courtney to go to Burbanks and Dallas.
Yes, I get all of the money.
Yeah, Courtney gets all
I'm
of
expensive.
it. We don't see anything.
All right, so we did Mint, we did my hobby news stuff. What else do you want to chat about?
Yeah, let's talk Panini releases, because this week Prism basketball is coming out. The rookie classes are coming out, and there's only one rookie that's in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? I know it's been a running issue. There is like a pro and con to it, I think, in my opinion, but I kind of want to hear your take, the expert's take.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's very interesting, right? Because how do you get excited about, a Paolo Banchero card? How do you get excited about these guys when they're done, right? But we saw it, last year also, right? I mean, I think the season was ending when Prism Draft was coming out, right? Like the last week of the season, you were able to get a Cade Cunningham draft card in his college uniform. So at least they're a little bit catching up on it now. So at least basketball season is still being played. At least some of it's still kind of relevant. Maybe you'll get that rookie of the year and that kind of stuff. But I guess what I would say about it is you almost balance it out, right? What you lose as far as like, I would have liked to have bought Banchero cards while he was playing. You maybe gain in the fact that you're almost in the off season now. Like this would have been a time to potentially sell some of the basketball cards that you had during the year of players that didn't do as well, and maybe move into football now, right? Maybe move into some quarterbacks now. That whole cycle is kind of, it's run amok. It's kind of been thrown off of its axis because, if you want to buy basketball, guys, you got to kind of buy it now. And we saw that with football. We saw it with football. Prism came out, the season was over. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, well, I like that rookie. I'm going to pick this rookie out. And people are trying to buy their rookies and buy their guys, but you're not getting them for the bargain prices that you otherwise would have gotten kind of during the season, right? So it's weird. I have a feeling that the production schedule will catch up. We're seeing a lot of releases kind of happen on top of each other. And I think Topps is going to kind of force the issue on that too. You see Topps, is going to be releasing a basketball set. You see like Bowman University ones. They're kind of forcing the hand on some of these releases also. I think Panini is going to have to kind of, get back to where they were production wise. I hope that answers your question. I mean, it makes it difficult for people who want to prospect on somebody, right? And then at the same time, it also makes it difficult if you want to buy cheap in the off season. You don't have that opportunity to do it. So,
well, you can't prospect if they've already like shown their hand, right? If you're like buying in the preseason, these rookies, you have no idea, like, oh, they're super hyped, like, like Mac Jones and all those guys. And then you watch the season, and then the product releases, and they haven't lived up to the hype. Who wants these cards then? And now they're being released, and then the prices just bottom out, and then you buy them and then hope that the hype comes back before this season.
Well, I mean, think about it. I know Prism's coming out, right? But didn't Eminence just come out this week? And it's last year's rookie. That's like Cade Cunningham still, right? That's Franz Wagner still. And I think there's still other releases that I think National Treasure, well, that'll come out also. But I mean, like, there's still 21, 22, right? That class is still coming out now. So the whole thing is kind of crazy. If you go back to the first week of basketball last year, I was talking about Franz Wagner before Seablaz had a crush on him, before any of that stuff, right? This guy is good. Like, I think Miami's good. I think they're going to not Miami. I think Orlando's good. I think the Magic's good. I think they put, if they wanted to, they could put a whole lineup of 5-7 footers out there, basically. But he's actually going to be a very, very good player. Mm-hmm. So, I remember saying in the episode, there's nothing I'm going to tell you to do about this, because I don't want you buying his draft card. You want to buy his Prism cards. You want to buy his Prism, numbered cards. You want to buy, RPAs. There are none out. You know what I mean? And none that I would tell you to buy and hold on to them for the long term. So, it does make it a little bit interesting how you buy and you sell.
Well, right now, changes everything.
It also gives you like the run up on like these not crappier, like more reasonable products. For example, Brock Purdy, when his card came out, it was going nuts. And guess what? It was paper and it was
Garbage.
It
It's
was
like
garbage.
Mac Jones Donruss card, right?
Yeah. So
you know,
Or
people
Phoenix.
people get screwed that way because they're excited about Brock Purdy. But now look, off-season Brock Purdy's prices have dipped because well, I mean, they just signed Sam Darnold, who's the starter. No one knows. He's hurt. Trey Lance is coming back. Like, there's so many possibilities. But then there's positive, too, because, for example, Chet Holmgren hasn't played all season. So, but his prices hasn't came down because of that, because people are still like, oh, he's coming back. It's his rookie year next year, and the product's coming out. So I think a lot of people are buying him right now. But it kind of sucks because, like, for me, being a college guy, I love college basketball and football. I can't prospect. I saw Chet play in high school. I was like, I want to start buying him, but I can't do anything. Maybe the people are going to have to go the Bowman route now that Bowman is licensed and buy like
It's still college unis though.
But that, I mean, yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, that has a lot of room to grow too, because there's a lot of.
I guess because it's licensed now. You know what? My problem is I'm poisoned because I'm from Chicago and we don't give a crap about.
Well, let me throw something out there for you now, right? Because right now, and things change. Things change in the hobby. I mean, when I started collecting, in '92, basketball cards, moving from baseball to basketball, everybody was collecting Shaquille O'Neal. That was what people were collecting for basketball. It was the era of the big man. We weren't buying Michael Jordan cards. I don't care what anybody tells you now. People were buying Jordan late '90s, sure. People were buying Kobe, sure. But people were buying Alonzo Mourning. People were buying Shaquille O'Neal. People were buying David Robinson cards. 90 hoops, David Robinson was a phenom, right? And that changed, right? Elijah, people's collection habits kind of changed. What we buy, what we didn't buy, and yeah, I mean the draft stuff, the college stuff. People kind of stay away from it. People don't buy it. But let me throw a scenario out there for you guys. What happens if Fanatics just continues doing what they're doing, which is basically squeeze the life out of any competitor? Right. And there's a lot of ways to do it. Right. Look what they did with Topps. I mean, Topps was going to IPO at like $1.2 billion. Fanatics swoops in, pays all the money for the licenses. And then the valuation of Topps, because they no longer have the license to produce the cards, it's deflated. It's like, taking a pin to a balloon. And I think they purchased it at like a half a billion, like 45% or so of what the IPO valuation was when they couldn't actually go out there and IPO. You see, some of the Fanatics talent moving over. Right, to Fanatics. I don't know what's going to happen with Fanatics. I don't know what's going to happen there. But think of a world where Fanatics signs contracts with the top quarterbacks in the draft. Now, sure, the license is still with Panini to do this year's football product, right? But what if Fanatics goes out there and signs Bryce Young? They sign C.J. Stroud. They sign, what are the other two quarterbacks? The kid from Florida, and Will Levis, right? The Kentucky kid. What if they go out there and they sign the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks, and I don't know, 1 or 2 running backs, whatever, to Fanatics deals, where they are now Fanatics athletes. They can only sign Fanatics contracts. I'm pretty sure this is already happening, by the way. And
sort of like Upper Deck.
Yeah, so I mean, you have an athlete-specific contract where they're Fanatics athletes. And now Prism can't put them in their product. Mm-hmm. But the unlicensed product, the Topps football that they come out with, the Topps Chrome football, is now going to be the only place you can get the autos of these guys, of these top players. It's not licensed. It's akin to a Bowman University kind of product, or, whatever you want to call it, Prism Baseball. It's not licensed, right? But if the guys you want the cards of are only going to be, their autographs are only going to be in this product, does that now spin the collecting around a little bit? Do people now, do they cross the picket lines over to non-licensed stuff because it still is the only way to get an auto? Or is it wrong because people just buy the Prism for the card anyway, and they're still going to be able to have a card of the guy, just maybe not the auto? I don't know.
I would make the argument that it's not really the same as like Prism Baseball, because Prism Baseball, like Topps Baseball, Bowman is licensed, and you have the team, you have the player. Prism still puts it out. Like as of right now, there's not any like Topps brand where it's like you can't use the player. They just can't use the teams, the MLB teams. So you're still getting all the same players. It's just whether or not the logos are there. And I don't like unlicensed baseball. I won't buy that. I don't care how much I like the player. I want to see my team.
So who's your favorite baseball team?
The
Yankees, says this guy. No. Who's your favorite?
White Sox,
like two players. I mean,
the White Sox.
Current players. So White Sox, let's say, Lou Bob, right? And Eloy Jimenez, he's still in the White Sox, right? Well, let's say Panini went out and signed contracts with those two guys. And the only way for you to get baseball autographs of your two guys is to buy Prism baseball products. Now, it's not going to say the White Sox team on it. You're still going to get the White Sox cards and stuff in the Topps product. But Prism Panini went out there and they signed deals with those athletes. If you want to get autograph, would that maybe you buy a box or two more of the Prism baseball to get your guys' autographs? Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I would.
So that's, I think, one of the moves that I could see a Fanatics doing, because it does a lot.
You for your ideas right now. Listen,
well, it does a lot of stuff, right? Because one, it makes their unlicensed product a little more valuable, a little more desirable. But more importantly, it wouldn't be enough. I wouldn't be paying the millions of dollars it's going to cost to get a CJ Stroud and a Bryce Young to be Fanatics signed athletes, just so that I can get more purchases of my unlicensed football product. But think of how it puts the pin in the balloon of Panini. Like now their flagship football product that they still have a license for doesn't have the autos of the players that people are going to be buying the product for. Mm-hmm. So
it's more of an attack than it is a business strategic move. It's really just I totally get what you're saying. And I don't know. It's like evil genius kind of level.
Just think if you're opening a product, because the NIL is still new, right? The NIL deals in college. So Fanatics can buy and they could sign these NIL deals. They could imagine giving Ohio State, Michigan, right? The big game. Ohio State wins. The memorabilia jersey too goes into a relic, the relics too, with their autos. And it showed, like, it would be sweet to have the sticker that shows what game it was. And Ohio State fans are going to be like, last second, this is the game from when we beat Michigan in the last second. Just I think that's going to could potentially boost the college market, because if you think about it, there's a ton of college football fans that don't buy cards right now because it's not profitable. They only buy it for their PC. You have Drake that buys Arkansas. You have Ryan Card Collector that buys Ohio State. I get Michigan State, but it's not like the professional level.
Do you think, would you rather have like a Justin Fields Ohio State memorabilia card or Bears memorabilia card?
It depends if you're an Ohio State fan. If Ohio State fan they're not going to want some of them won't want the Bears. They want them as Ohio State.
So take a look at Mark Mader's page, guys, if you're listening to this. He's got some really cool Joe Burrow flawless pieces. Gear autos, relic autos, jersey autos, whatever you want to call them. But they're with the college uniform. So it's got his LSU uniform in there, and some of them are crazy. They got like the Chick-fil-A patch. They got like really cool patches. Some people love that stuff, and he's from down there, so that's his guy. And I would venture to say, I mean, those are game worn. Like those are legitimate patches. And if you're a fan of that player, and you're a fan of that's somebody who won a college championship wearing those jerseys with cool jerseys, and that. If it's the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl or whatever it was, that the game that they like, that's a cool jersey piece. There are definitely some cool things that a Fanatics company can do. We see it with the those debut patches. That's low hanging fruit.
That was so
cool. What I mean?
And did you hear that? Did you watch where they're talking about their first hit? They're going to take the base, and the pitcher's first pitch strikeout. They're going to take the rubber. And they're going to make relics out of that. That's insane.
I mean, why wouldn't they?
Oh my God, why haven't they already?
Yeah.
I saw someone pull an Aaron Judge cleat.
Yeah.
It looks like a box.
Yeah.
People
have done this stuff. Topps last year, I remember really cool the Field of Dreams game. But they did it with Topps Now. With people don't love Topps Now because it's not pack pulled. But they're able to do that, right? I mean, they were Tim Anderson had one of those corn stalk. Hitting the home run out into they took the corn that they grew and put it in a card.
See,
You know what I
that's
mean? Like
cool.
there's cool stuff, from like the Field of Dreams. That's that. I mean, there are a lot of ideas. If you listen to my, the last episode we did with Josh Luber, he will tell you that every single idea I have, they've already had. That there's no new idea at all.
There's no new
No, every
No.
idea that I'm coming up with, someone's already thought of at Fanatics, and they're either doing it or the idea is dumb, so they're not going to do it. I don't believe that. I will say I maybe hypothetically got a text after that episode from someone at Fanatics who said, keep the ideas coming and text me with any ideas you have. Maybe hypothetically, I did get that text. So that's good. So all of my ideas will go to Fanatics. They
Let's
will
go.
eventually tell me stop texting.
How about
Leave
the,
me alone.
how about the idea of having redemption, but it's memorabilia, signed memorabilia instead of a card?
I mean, so what's funny about redemptions is I understand the place for it, right? Especially if it's, something real cool. It's during the season. And, look, I watched, Tyrese Maxey stay an hour and a half at the Philly show after the show was done during the season, while he was playing. I watched him, sign autographs and do photo ops. And Devontae Smith was there. And his rep was like, there's no way Devontae would be doing this during season. You know what I mean?
Really?
So I get it. Yeah, I mean, it's football. It's a grind. They got to
Yeah.
travel. They got to, the practices are crazy. I think that morning the Sixers had like a film review. Like it wasn't exactly the same kind of, daily grind that the football season has. I'm not saying they don't work hard. Obviously, pro athletes work hard. But the point here is I can understand, like especially if Fanatics is going nuts and they're going to be like, I'm going to get the jersey that this guy was wearing during the season and get him to sign it. It might not be that easy to do during the season or during that week or during that month. You know what I mean? I can understand a redemption might have its place. I also love the idea that they're trying to get rid of redemptions. Nobody likes to get a redemption.
I hate redemptions. I'm so
Yeah.
sick of them. I just wanted to say that I'm gonna eat a little crow because I would definitely buy a Michael Jordan North Carolina card.
See?
I would do that. So you're not wrong. And I can't like talk as much crap about it. I personally am not a huge but like for the right guy.
Oh yeah.
For the right guy, for your guy, I can see that being like.
Oh yeah. Like I'll buy Magic Johnson, but I'm only buying him in Michigan State stuff.
See, I am a proud graduate of the State University of New York at Binghamton.
Yeah, there you go.
Bearcats, and when I graduated, did not even have a football team. Our homecoming was soccer.
That's awesome though.
So I don't really need a college relic of anyone because I never really had that big school experience there. But I know people who love that stuff. If you went to Alabama, when they were winning multiple national championships while you were there, that's pretty cool. I mean, my high school won 2 baseball city championships while I was there in 4 years. That was cool to go to Yankee Stadium and watch my high school play baseball for the city championship. I can only imagine what it's like watching your college football team, win the national championship. That's probably pretty cool. And, if you're a fan, I know you're a Michigan State guy, So if Xavier Tillman's underwear came up for auction, you would be buying it.
Yeah, for
At
sure.
least bidding on it. I don't know if Manny has the money to be buying those kind of panties.
Yeah. No, I think it is the northeast side of the country that they don't care. It's Yankees, Red Sox, Patriots, Giants.
I feel like if you have decent professional teams, just the college stuff is like, man, well.
No, I know it because it's we're in the Midwest. I mean, yeah, there's not a really big professional, but the Midwest and South, like that's a lot. There's a lot of college fans.
I mean, like the guys up in Wisconsin really love, Madison.
Yeah,
I know that's a huge deal up there. I went to high school for like 2 years in Wisconsin, and one of the guys that I went to high school with ended up he went to Madison, and then he ended up on the Cowboys. Travis Fredericks.
Ooh, I like Travis Fredericks.
He's like genuinely like the nicest human being. But the town that I lived in, like 800 people, and they put a sign up when you drive in both the 2 roads that go into town. There's only 2. There's only 2 ways to get into town, and both of them have a sign that says "Home of Travis Fredericks of the Dallas Cowboys."
Yeah, there you go.
There would be someone who would cut a piece of that sign off and put it in the car, and they'd be like, "Yeah,
They didn't do that in your neighborhood. Thicc's own Manny lives here.
Yes,
it's gonna be a big sign.
Just some fat.
You forget how diehard people are when you're not like I'm not like that. Like college ball has never been that big of a deal to me personally. So I shouldn't just like completely dismiss that whole genre of collecting as like something that I'm just like, who wants
Can't believe you, Courtney.
Okay, hey, I am growth. This is growth. I'm admitting that I was maybe not 100% right, and I don't like to do that.
You don't want Drake to come after you because he's a big Arkansas guy. So
I'm not scared of Drake. Bring it, Drake.
Razorbacks.
Yeah, the Razorbacks. But hey, Cage.
Corliss Williamson. That's what I remember about Arkansas. I'm dating myself there.
Jeremy was threatening Drake with like wrestling moves every time we'd walk past each other at the minute.
Yeah, Jeremy was trying to wrestle Drake at the minute.
He's like, I'm gonna give you a stunner. I'm like, leave him alone.
I'm gonna give you an F5, Drake. Stop looking at me. I'm like, what are you doing, Jeremy? Leave him alone.
I know Drake might be able to handle himself. I don't know. I mean, you know. I know. I mean, Jeremy's a big dude. I wouldn't want to mess with either of those guys.
He can't see, so
that would be the time.
Yeah. What?
You can't see me.
Yeah, little John Cena action. He can't see anyone.
Cage, NBA playoff. I do see a lot of like, I should say, content creators saying buy this player because it's the playoffs and I expect them to win. Like, for example, Kevin Durant. Ian, that was a good one.
You all right, pal? You were honking over there.
Kevin, like for example, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, because they expect a long, like kind of a tournament run. Devin Booker, I said Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Giannis. But in my head, like what I've learned from you and other people is this isn't the time to buy. You buy. You should have been buying before and selling.
This is
now.
Easy. It's a basketball playoffs. You're asking me who to buy right now. If you are listening to a content creator for who to buy, what's up, pal? You're going to tell me who to buy?
Yeah. Who do we buy?
Who do we buy?
Buy
Ian Book.
Oh, he's sleepy. You buy Jordan Love while it's the basketball playoffs, right? And you get ready to sell him at the National, right? This is what you should be doing. It might even be too late. You buy your football quarterbacks now, the ones who have kind of maybe taken a little bit of a dip, right? And, you know, even if it's Trey Lance, because there's a little question mark there and he's going to be the one starting. Like, there is room. I would say don't be greedy, right? I've always been this way with what I would say with cards. There are cards out there now. Jordan Love's a perfect example. And why I say sell him is because I bought Jordan Love before the season. I was all over Jordan Love in PWCC auctions. I bought him this time last year. And my plan was that I thought he was going to get traded, right? I thought, okay, there's no way to keep him around another year doing nothing. He'll get traded. There was some rumor mill about him getting traded. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll hang on to his cards and I'll sell him before the season. He'll probably get traded and whatever team, maybe he goes to, who knows? And he didn't get traded. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to sell these now. And I might even take like, a tiny loss on them, right? Because, you hold on to them in the season and you're like, what the heck? I'm no good here. I bought him and Christian McCaffrey were my two buys. Pretty smart. Mm-hmm. McCaffrey I sold the week before they traded him.
Yeah.
So, you got to love that, right? So, look, it is what it is. But the Jordan Love play is a good play now because I would buy him and sell him. I'd sell him at National. I'd sell him beforehand. And the reason why I say that is because with buying as many, I had several of his true out of 99 RPAs, National Treasures. I had like all kinds of like big cards of his. I spent a lot of money on him. I watched his games. Like he played in the preseason. He is not that guy. He's not good. He's not going to be the guy, in Green Bay. I don't foresee him actually being a very good player. So I would be in and out of his cards and other quarterbacks too. Like Josh Allen stuff has come down a little bit. Like you could pick up Josh Allen now and in at national time or in the preseason where he's out there and you get the article that's inevitably going to be there. Josh Allen comes into camp in the best shape of his career and he's ready to take that next step and get past Mahomes. All of a sudden there's some hype about him and he's on his knees throwing a ball 85 yards down the field. You move your cards. Like you don't have to be, I'm going to buy Chris Paul right now, or I'm going to buy Devin Booker right now in the hopes that the Suns figure it all out and put it all together. Their cards have already moved up a little bit because of where they are and because of adding Kevin Durant. The upside, is there upside? Sure, if they win a championship, right?
And
And
even
you
then,
gotta
it's not going to be that much.
exactly. It's a risk reward thing, right? There's not that much potential reward on those cards, and the risk on it is, what if they get knocked out in the first round or even the second round, right? So yeah, I would stay away from basketball. Like you said, if you were going to buy basketball, the time was to buy in already. You should already
Missed
have
that
your bets
train.
made. So
Yeah, the thing
Football's
that
been kind of wild this year though, because like it didn't drop as much as it usually does. And like when I was in Dallas, when the whole trade with Justin Fields happened,
Mhm.
where they like traded their first round
they
and
got DJ Moore.
DJ Moore, and like it went from like
Yeah,
I had
DJ Moore.
I was sitting out with my Fields cards at trade night, and I had people being like, maybe, to like that got announced, and everyone's like, I'll pay you over sticker. I want all of those. I'm like, I'm gonna actually hang on to these now. Thanks. You know, because
That's the best
I was
receiver
like,
he has. I mean, that's the best receiver he's had in a while. So I mean, like
yeah.
that. I think if you look at like what DJ Moore has done in his last couple of years and compare that to the best wide receiver of every game for the Bears and put it all together, they can't come up with like a Frankenstein Bears receiver that has any stats close to what DJ Moore brings to the team. My battery is dying on this. You want me to like switch over to computer? I don't know how much longer you guys want to.
No, we're gonna wrap it up shortly. I was just gonna say, you could also get some low hanging fruit. I know Cage and Courtney said quarterbacks, but like for example, Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams, like in the Detroit area, are a little bit hype. Like the hype of them are going insane. So you could buy these guys cheap and sell at the hype of these guys.
Jameson Williams, by the way. So I mean, it sucks that it's out there, but it's not a secret, right? So that was my guy. Like I was bidding on pick your player breaks on Prism for Jameson Williams. And I didn't win any of them. Like Courtney's right. Like it's hard to find bargains, even on people you would think it's not a quarterback. He's a wide receiver. Yep. Detroit is fantastic. Ultimately, it's going to be tough to see which receivers break out and get. James Williams was the best wide receiver in the country before he got injured. And people don't realize that because he's a lower draft pick. That is a guy who is the Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase of this draft. People don't know because he got hurt. He got hurt in a bowl game. And, his draft stock, fell because of it. But he is a beast of a wide receiver, and he's healthy, and he started to turn it on at the end of last season. That's a guy I would be invested in. But the problem is he's not cheap. Like you would think he'd be cheap because no one knows who the hell he is, but he's not cheap. He's not cheap at all.
Yeah, I feel like people are getting smarter, and Detroit people they pay. Like we just picked up a DeAndre Swift out of 2 or something. I don't know. People in Detroit, they are like people like are sleeping on what big collectors there are in Michigan, I think. Yeah. So I'm like, it's been kind of a wild ride out here in general with collecting. I think we're gonna lose Cage.
Yeah, it's okay. Cage is sideways. So I want to thank you, Cage. I know. He's muted now. He's muted, but I do want to thank Cage for coming on. I do appreciate it. Like I said, he was I would say the guy that gave me the foundation in the hobby. Like he was my first like mentor, my first poppy. So I would say that. Thank you. That was
creepy, Manny.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Cage. Follow Cage on Cage. You're muted right now. Do you want to unmute and tell people where you're at, where they can follow you? Oh, he's gone. He's muted. So make sure you follow Cage on Instagram, CageLawyer. Great content every Tuesday. The hobby, the weekly recap, hobby weekly recap. You might see Courtney on it, or Manny, or Jeremy. Maybe
I intend to do something so stupid that I end up on it.
Yeah.
Like that's a goal now.
Here's Cage. So Cage,
I don't know what happened.
We're just saying
it was sideways. I was on mute. I don't know what was going on. So I figured I would just go out and come back in. So you asked where it's CageLawyer. You just find me CageLawyer on Instagram. I appreciate it. The whole Poppy thing was a little weird. I was listening to that and couldn't really comment.
I said that. I was like, that's really creepy, Manny. You took it to the wrong level.
I think I know what you meant.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's all good stuff.
My dad was never around. I attached to people. Leave me alone.
It's all right.
Daddy issues. He's going to be calling sets to Daddy issues, Manuel.
Yeah.
It's okay. And you miss Jeremy, and I get it. It's no better way to spend the Tuesday night than with these guys. I will give you guys all the credit in the world. This is a fun show. I mean, I'm missing, the normal back and forth between you and Jeremy. I can't fill in for that. You guys have a great chemistry. I love, how you guys kind of, split the time sometimes, Courtney. You're at a show doing a live, opening a box while these guys are at another show. I try to tune in on the lives on Instagram when you guys are doing it. I say it, and I'm not joking. You guys are like the first family of the hobby, and you've adopted Manny into that odd
My son.
Adams family kind of group there. I don't know where Miss Squirts fits in. It's just an interesting name, but I guess it's all part of the extended family of the Too Thicc universe. But I appreciate you guys having me on. It's great hobby content. It's kind of what I hear about my stuff. It's you're just talking sports, talking cards. For the love of it, somebody can listen and they kind of get the feeling that they're there engaging with you, involved in the conversation. It's easy, it's natural, it flows. You guys have that. So keep doing what you're doing. And thanks for having me on. I'll come back whenever you're willing to have me.
Oh yeah, for sure. We might have to do, if you go look at our pages, me and Cage's page, we used to do Manny being Manny ridiculous takes. We might have to start that up again, Cage, and do some ridiculous takes about John Morant being who do we say? Russell Westbrook? There we go. So John
Russell
Morant.
Westbrook.
Yes.
Meanwhile, little did we know he was really Gilbert Arenas.
Exactly. So we might have to start that back up, Cage. I'll appreciate that. So
that was I'm clipping that. That was the best take of the night. Oh, that's going up.
Well, thank you, Cage, for
guys.
coming on.
Enjoy your night.
Thank you, Courtney, for replacing
I can't replace Mr. Reckling.
Oh, you can replace Mr. Infection. And everyone, make sure I got to do it like Jeremy. Smash the like and subscribe button. Thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed your hobby release. And with that, we'll talk soon. Peace.